Ciao and welcome. Yesterday I cooked a broad beans pasta with some beans which I brought back from Sicily, and I made them with ricotta and squash, and it was absolutely delicious. During that video I also promised you that I was going to show you how to make a typical Sicilian salad dead easy using broad beans, but also these are too many for us, so I'll be freezing some. So as they are fresh, I'm going to show you the best and most effective technique on how to freeze broad beans and some other vegetables. I removed the beans from their pod in Sicily the night before we left, but they still have got this little, I don't really know what it's called, this little part of the plant attached. So the first thing I'll do is just very quickly go through all of them, in literally a matter of seconds, and they come off very easily, so that they are gone and we don't need them. And within a few minutes I'm done. I have to say, this is another one of those very gratifying little jobs, a bit like peeling peppers. I've said that before when I've made roasted peppers and I've peeled them. It's something very nice to do. Anyway, I will give this a little wash, as I haven't washed them yet, and then I'll tell you what to do next. The other thing is that also you can make this recipe using previously frozen broad beans, the ones bought from the supermarket, but of course you would not want to refreeze those. So I just washed them and I'll move them back into a bowl, as I will need the pasta drainer in a moment. And as much as I would like to claim this as my idea, it isn't. It's Julie's suggestion. I'm not sure if it's her idea either, but she mentioned it to me. So I've got a big enough saucepan, and my pasta drainer goes inside it. I've just boiled my kettle, and I'll pour enough water to half fill my pot. And as my water is straight out of the kettle, it should boil immediately. Next I will add a good pinch of salt, followed by all of my broad beans. Be careful, try not to burn yourself, because obviously the water is really hot. I will be doing them all, the ones I'm cooking for tonight, but also the ones I'm freezing. The ones which I will be freezing will be in the water for 3 minutes, and that is called blanching. Whereas the ones which I will be cooking for dinner for tonight will stay in the water until they're properly cooked and soft. So depending on the size of your beans, it might take 10-15 minutes. Mine are quite big, so they're going to take a little while, but I'll let you know how long they take. Then the ones which will be going in the freezer, I will show you the process in a little while. But the reason why you blanch them is effectively to stop them from changing in texture. They've got little enzyme inside, and they are still alive. And if you were to put them in the freezer, inside the freezer straight away, even if it's cold, they will still continue changing the texture of your beans. Whereas actually you want to stop that. Imagine a clock which is ticking, tick tock, and time passes, whereas actually we want to stop it. By blanching them, by boiling them for 3 minutes, effectively we are stopping the clock, we are pausing the clock. And then once they go in the freezer, they will naturally stay the way they are, and they will retain the beautiful and green texture. And I'll show you in a little while what else I do to ensure that happens. And to ensure that they cook evenly, I'll put a lid on and they will blanch away. In the meantime, I've got a lump of ice, some cold water, and I'll put it in there. And 3 minutes on, and I'm ready to remove the broad beans from the hot water. And what I'm going to do, I'll drain some of the water first, like so. I'll move this on top of my cold water, and I'll go and scoop some of the broad beans I want to cook for dinner, and I'm going to pinch a good 3 ladles, like so. And this can carry on cooking as normal, 10-15 minutes, depending on how long it will take. And here, as this is really cold water, I'll put the rest in there. And what happens now, the very icy cold water will stop the broad beans from continue cooking. Imagine you've got a cake in the oven, and the cake finished cooking, and you turn the oven off. Even if you turn the oven off, there is still a very high temperature in there. Unless you remove the cake from the oven, it will continue cooking. And that's exactly the same. What I'm doing here, I'm putting my beans in ice cold water to ensure that they do not longer cook, and they will retain the texture that I want them to retain. So they've cooled down for a good minute. I'll go and drain them using my pasta drainer, and I'll show you what to do next. And that is really simple. Clean towel, and I'll pour my broad beans on top of it. I'll spread them evenly so that they dry. I'll just fold this in half so that they dry on top and the bottom. I've got a little oven tray here which I've also lined up with some baking paper, and I'll move my broad beans on top of it. And as I dry them, it's easier for me to spread them evenly, and that is quite important because they're going to go in the freezer and about half an hour, enough for them to solidify slightly, and then I'll put them in a plastic bag. But I'll show you that because in the meantime I can crack on with the rest of the recipe. And beside it being a very simple recipe, it's incredibly delicious and you only need a few ingredients. I'll start with a little olive oil. Again, quantities to taste, but I will be pouring in about 2 tablespoons. I'm using a little mini mixer, by the way, but also you can use a hand blender, and this is mint. Again, quantities to taste. I'm actually putting about good 4 or 5 big leaves. I'm not looking for a clove of garlic, but these are a little bit too big because this is not going to be cooked here. This is perfect, medium to small. I just remove the excess skin and it goes in. Followed by a little pepper and a pinch of salt. The lid goes back on and I'll mix away. I think I've been a little bit mean with the oil, so I'm going to add a little bit more. And off I go again. And the marinade is ready, so let's have a look at the beans. They cooked for a further 10 minutes, by the way, and you can do what I'm about to do in the sink, but I want to show you hence doing it here. So I'll just remove the lid, and here they are, and I'll pour them inside my drainer so that I can show you. And here, look, they are perfectly cooked, nice and soft, and really hot but delicious. So I'll drain the water, hence using the pasta drainer, and I'll move them back into my saucepan, actually, which is here, so that I can dry them up. Marinade and a spatula, and I'll pour it inside the pot with the beans. And of course the spatula is very important as you want to get all of the lovely oil out. Not to say that you will need it to mix them anyhow, and as the broad beans are still really hot, and the garlic is raw, and the oil and everything else, the smell coming up is unbelievable, absolutely beautiful, especially the combination with the mint. But before I continue, I'll just taste one for saltiness to see if they're okay. They're okay for everything, not just saltiness, they're delicious, but they'll be warm, and the taste is not going to be the same as when they cool down, so they'll be even more delicious. So what I'll do next, I'll put them inside my little bowl, my serving bowl over here. I'll just transfer them over and make sure that you carry with you any of the lovely oil. And that is perfect. And of course you can eat them straight away, but I will leave them to cool down to room temperature, and they will taste considerably better already. Sorry, I'm still munching on my broad bean from earlier. And then I'll put them in the fridge after about half an hour, and I'll leave them to rest and marinate for a good hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, until dinner is ready. And then they will be absolutely superb. And they will last in your fridge for 2, 3, 4 days. And the longer you leave them, the better they will taste, like a lot of this type of food. So, give it a shot and let me know how you get on. In the meantime, I'll go and get the broad beans and I'll show you what they look like, the ones I put in the freezer. My bag is ready, and within half an hour they're well on the way, and actually they're beginning to solidify already. And because all of the water has iced up, I can easily pick them up. I'll got my bag over here and I put them all inside, and as they are already semi-hard, they will not stick to one another, and they can go in the freezer and ready for another day. You can also do this with any other type of vegetable, by the way. Well, not all of them. What I'll do, I'll give you a list, and you can do exactly the same with broccoli, cauliflower, runner beans. I will produce a PDF file, and I will list in alphabetical order all of the vegetables that you can blanch and apply exactly the same technique, 3 minutes in hot water, 3 minutes in iced water, and then do exactly that. And also give you another list of vegetables which you can freeze straight away without having to blanch them. We have a situation in the UK now where just before Christmas or even before Easter, I've noticed that supermarkets reduce vegetables considerably. You can buy a whole head of broccoli or cauliflower for 15p, that is 1.5. I think it's just a way to promote the clearly supermarkets just before the holidays. So if you got freezer space, what a great opportunity to buy in bulk and blanch them and freeze them, and then you'll find them later on for whatever you need. Anyhow, so that is the end of this video. I will be cooking a big pepper. I'll show it to you actually. Here, these are some of my purchases, as I've shown you in another video when I was away. I already cooked an eggplant and I made a video, and I will be doing this tomorrow. But here I've got a beautiful big bell pepper, which I will be stuffing in a little while with some chicken, some sausages, also some chorizo, a beautiful recipe. And I will be using my broad beans, which I've actually made all look very, very pretty because I made the photo, and as a side dish. And I will show you that in a separate video. So hopefully you've enjoyed me freezing or blanching and freezing the broad beans and learned something, and also of course a Sicilian recipe for you. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy, and I hope you make it. Arrivederci, grazie.